Hello, I'm Helena Chance and I am the project leader for Woodlanders' Lives and Landscapes, which is one of the projects within the Chalk, Cherries and Chairs Landscape Partnership Scheme funded by the Heritage Lottery Fund. So in Woodlanders' Lives and Landscapes we're investigating the lives of people who worked in some of the key crafts and industries in the Chilterns. And it's not surprising that the wood around me, the beech woods, supplied the raw materials for some of those industries, most famously for chair making, for hurdle making, for woodware, and many other craft-based industries. And I've come here today to see my friend Jane. Jane is a historian and a ceramicist, and she's been living here for many years.
Yeah, 35 years.
For 35 years,
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Jane, when we met, I think it was about 15 years ago,
yes,
you
was,
were a student of mine at Buxton University.
Yeah.
And you told me a story which says something really interesting. You made a discovery.
Yes.
And it tells something really interesting about Woodlanders' lives. And I think more people should know about this story. So could you tell it again?
Yes, it was 40 years ago. We first came to live in the Chilterns in the early 1980s. And we were living in a cottage about 5 miles from here, in the middle of the beech woods. And I had an old wood burning stove, and we were burning wood in the grate of the wood burner. And over a period of about 2-3 weeks, we kept finding clay pipes in the grate. I riddled it out every morning, and I would find clay pipes like this. And I just thought, how on earth did they get there in the grate of the wood burner? And I was completely mystified. I wondered if ghosts had laid them there, or fairies. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Or poltergeists. And we looked up the chimney and thought they must have fallen down the chimney. And I can't say why would they fall down the chimney? And I found several of them. I've got my pocket full of them, different pipes. And this was a period of several weeks, and then they stopped. And so we just had this strange collection of clay pipes, and I used to display them on the mantelpiece above the wood burning stove there, and I didn't really think much more about them. I never really knew how they got into the grate. It was a complete mystery to me, and I was working at the time with the warden from the local nature reserve at Bix. He was head of BBONT then, Barts, Bucks and Oxon Naturalist Trust, and we were driving around, and I said to him one day about the clay pipes that I'd found in the wood burner. Should we walk up into the woods? There's so many people working in the woods in those days. They had spare clay pipes because they would always be breaking. Over the years, the tree would have grown over completely and hidden the clay pipes within its trunk as it grew up and grew bigger and bigger. And there they stay.
Jane, I really love that story about the clay pipes. It's amazing how they disappeared and they came back to life, and then they took on a completely different life of their own. They became historical artifacts.
With these clay pipes, I mean, they told an amazing story, really. I mean, this one here is it's got a castle on it and a crown, and I didn't know where it come, obviously where it come from. But after they were revealed in the fire grate, I got a book on clay pipes to find out where they originated.
Yes.
And this one was the Inniskillen Regiment, and it's was made to commemorate the Egyptian campaign of 1882. And
this one's got some letters on it. What does that mean?
It's got some horns.
Yes.
Buffalo horns, apparently. This one says RAOB, which was the Royal Ancient Order of the Buffaloes.
Should we go back to the house? Because I wanted to ask you finally that I think that your discovery of the clay pipes has partly inspired your work as a ceramicist. Yeah, it's really amazing, Jane, how those pipes you know, they're in that fire and they're being heated in those very, very high temperatures, and yet they're still intact, and you can actually discover the history of them.
Yes.
And I was wondering, looking at those pipes and thinking about your work as a ceramicist, whether your life in the woods and living here and discovering those clay pipes just might have had an influence on the type of pots that you make and the way that you fire them.
Yes, yeah. Well, it did really. It did trigger something, and actually one of the pipes. I'm holding on to my pots here. I should find the pipe that's got the there we are. Is it that one? Yeah, that one there has actually got some of evidence of firing, and that's the other one. That's got black. So yeah. Yes, it's that one I think, isn't it? Yeah, here we are. Look here. This is one here.
It's the same colours.
So look.
Wow.
See the colours? It's got the oranges and the pinks that came from it, and I never realised the significance of that, I have to say, when the pipe was actually burnt in the grate, and then I retrieved it and it became an object of interest really, and an object of decoration in my house for the next 40 years. But when I came to university and I met you, I was looking for a different technique really, because you know everything's been done 100 times over, and I wanted to find my own place in the ceramic world really, and I did remember the clay pipes and the colours that had come on the pipes, and I learned about firing outdoors in an open environment using wood, but using wood, as it burns off, it gives off gases, and the gases then infiltrate the clay and give the colours, and I thought this was a really interesting technique, pit firing. It was called pit firing, and living in this isolated valley here, where I've lived for 35 years, and with access to all the woods, and you know, it was not a problem to me to get any of the materials needed for pit firing. This particular pot has got beautiful colours. It's got the blues, the yellows, reds, and the blacks and smokes, and all course, you know, all the different colours are given off by the type of materials that I burn in the pit with the pots. So I use coffee grounds and salts, seaweeds, and lots of different woods. And actually, interestingly, the sawdust at the bottom of the pit I get from a local wood turner. He's actually the son of the man who told me about the pipes.
What a lovely full circle. It's just a lovely story, and thank you so much for telling it, Jane.
That's been pleasure, my pleasure as well.
If you want to find out any more about Jane's pots, you can see them on her website, which you can see here.
Yeah, and I'll be doing Oxford Art Weeks as well.